So I've been wanting to do this for a bit now, a couple of weeks, right? Maybe 2 weeks. And I figured that today was just about as good as any other day. This is what we're going to call an open letter, an open video, an open something to Blizzard, to World of Warcraft, to the game that this channel is based on. Now, I'm not under any illusion that, a YouTuber with now 400 subscribers is going to be seen by Blizzard, but there's a lot that I want to get off my chest. There's a lot of things going on, and I feel the need to sit down, type a whole bunch of stuff out, and then record it for, for you guys. So just to start, I would say your typical raider. I have a 40 plus hour a week managerial job. It's often high stress. It's a good portion of what this channel is about is, managing and leading and rating and all this stuff. I have a son, I have a 9-year-old son. I have friends, I have family, I have events outside of the game that I'm engaged in that take up my time, right? And I tell you this because as a person, as a player, as a man, as a dad, as a, worker, as somebody, I choose to play World of Warcraft. I choose to pay $15 a month. I've chosen to play this game over a lot of other games. I have piles and piles of games, and I've mentioned my Steam collection for a ridiculously large Steam collection, and I choose to play this game. I've played every single expansion that has come out. I've played every single raid tier, excluding original Nax. Sorry, I was in Iraq. And the beginning of Mist of Pandaria, it was getting divorced. So I've played the game for a long ass time. I've been a part of the same guild for 12 years now. 12 years come this February. I've been the guild leader of said guild for 5 years. I was an officer in that same guild for 5 years before that. And I tell you guys this, and I say this, to Blizzard. I tell you guys this because as a guild leader, as a raid leader, as a raider, I can see the frustrations facing my guild and my raid members. I can see the burnout. I'm feeling the burnout. I've lost multiple raiders to it. I've lost an officer to it. I've lost a lot of people to it. It's put my guild in a position where some nights, as a mythic raiding guild, we don't have enough to fill a mythic raid. And when I say we don't have enough, I don't mean that we have 18 people logging in. We have 12. We have 13. Now, granted, some of that is real life, but a lot of that is just people don't want to. It's caused problems. It's caused issues. It's caused frustrations that people have taken out on one another. We've people that dread logging in, that have blatantly told me the game's not fun. The game's boring. It's not Legion. It's not what I want. It's not what I want to play. I don't really want to log in. I've had people tell me this, the only reason that I play is because of you guys, not the game anymore. And I can see where they're coming from. People aren't having fun. Players are unhappy with their class, their spec, the gear, the game. It hasn't been fixed, and we're going to get into some details here. We keep hearing that it's going to get better, right? We keep hearing this. Hey, we're working on it. We know it's an issue. It's going to get better. Problems will be fixed. And you know what? It hasn't happened. I talked about this before. This idea, when originally I started playing the Elemental Shaman, come the launch of BFA, and it wasn't doing great. It was not super fun. And Blizzard said, look, we're going to fix it in 8.1. Just wait. And I did a video where I said, this is bullshit. This just wait mentality isn't working when I'm doing shit DPS. And my raid is like, dude, you should heal. You should play something else because we're kind of dragging you along. And guess what? 8.1 didn't fix it. They didn't fix the shamans. They buffed them, but it wasn't the fix that we were promised. Shadow Priests, enhancement shamans, So in no specific order, let's talk about some of the issues that have plagued my players, that are plaguing the game, how they've pushed players, not just my people, but in general, away from the game. Strap in because this is going to be a long one. Personal loot. I've talked about this before, but it bears repeating. The loot change is frustrating for a lot of reasons. I understand pugs. I really do. But in a guild group where you're working towards an end goal, a specific goal, a group goal, it's a different story. Give guilds the choice on what they want to do. Let the players decide how they want loot handled. They don't want personal loot or they don't want master loot. Let them choose it. Nobody's keeping you around. If you feel that your guild leader or your loot master, whatever, is handling loot incorrectly, find another guild. I've talked at length multiple times about how easy it is to find a raiding guild. Speaking of loot, we have a system in place where players can choose a spec that they wish to receive gear for, right? That loot spec that you can opt for. However, and I didn't know this until recently, I guess I've never really thought about it, or maybe I've never been unlucky enough to see it. There are multiple places in the game where this loot spec choice that you, the player, have made is flat out ignored. World Quest, Mythic Plus caches ignore your loot spec. And Blizzard has acknowledged this. They know this. So why give us the choice? Why isn't this somewhere visible in the game while playing that, my loot spec will not be followed when I'm doing, Mythic Plus. When I open my Mythic Plus cache on Tuesday, why do I not see, a big message that says this could be any of your 3 specs or your 4 specs or your 2 specs? Global cooldown change. This one was something that was brought up during the 8.0 beta and something that we're still hurting from today. Damn near a year later. It has been a year since the beta of Battle for Azeroth, which doesn't nearly seem as long of a time as was needed, considering we're in the first major 8.1, the first major patch, and we got a second raid tier coming out. It's been a year since the beta. Something, I don't know, just seems too fast to me, and maybe I'm wrong. The reasoning behind this global cooldown change leaned, at least my understanding, you guys correct me if I'm wrong here, about any of this, was more towards PvP, where someone could pop all of their cooldowns and delete another player with no way for that other player to react. So instead of limiting cooldown usage, enacting some kind of window where if you popped one cooldown, you couldn't pop another, especially when it comes to those big cooldowns, or finding some other more seamless, more acceptable, less game-altering change, finding something else to really handle this. We had a major change where the majority of our abilities, at least what was left from Legion, were thrown on the global cooldown and we were locked out of using them. This has made the game feel incredibly slow, incredibly unresponsive, and I would say from personal experience, from anecdotal experience, reading it on Reddit and the forums, and, Preach has talked about it. One of the, obviously you guys know who Preach is, big YouTuber. It's caused quite a few frustrated moments, some oh shit moments where tanks and healers can't hit the buttons that they need to hit to save their ass because of that global cooldown. Now, this was a huge complaint, and it continues to be one. And the only thing that was said was, that's the way it's going to be. Blizzard has done some tweaking, to be fair. I'm not going to, they have done some work. And it's taken a good chunk of the abilities off of the global cooldown. But it still feels slow. It still feels sluggish. It still feels unresponsive. It's not the same. It's not the same as the game used to be. And it's frustrating. Island expeditions, these are a Zergfest clusterfuck, right? This addition to BFA that was touted so much, and I don't know, it's just, to me, it's meh. Originally, rewards for this feature were based on what you kill. You focus on a certain creature, a certain mob type, you are more likely to be rewarded with mounts, pets, etc., that makes sense, right? You kill a lot of pirates, you get pirate shit. You kill a lot of this, you get some of that shit. Players figured out how this worked. And then Blizzard said that the system was too confusing, right? That the general population didn't understand it. No shit, you didn't tell us how it worked. And they changed it to simply dish out rewards when you completed the island. Problem was, the system actually rewards you based off the speed at which you finish that expedition, that island. something that wasn't originally said. Now we have a system where players just run around killing random creatures, no story, no understanding of what's going on, no pushing you narratively to do anything. They're just island expeditions. Go do them. They're frustrating. Tooltips. This was something that was brought up in the beta, where Blizzard said, we don't want to overburden you with information. Yeah, no shit. Tooltips, they lack information. Again, give us a choice. I get it. My 9-year-old son doesn't care how many procs per minute a trinket has or an ability has or, how much of a stat he's going to get when he uses something. He doesn't care. He wants to kill things. He wants to run around, do stupid quests. He's happy doing that. Me, I want to know as much information as possible. I shouldn't have to download, the advanced tooltips add-on or whatever it is to give me basic information on the abilities and trinkets that I have. You, Blizzard, know this information. Let me opt in or out of it. By default, lock me out of it. Make me go into the advanced settings and say, yes, advanced interface options somewhere in there. Yes, give me detailed information. Maybe a toggle of I want procs per minute. I want stats. I want this. I want that. Give me that. Don't take that away. That's not your choice to make. That's mine as a player. Mythic Plus still needs work. To me, it's not as fun as it was in Legion. A lot of these systems, this game is not as fun as, let's say, 7.1. 8.1 is not as fun as 7.1. I don't know if it's the fact that teaming and bolstering were added. Once you start doing a key, the fact that each dungeon was designed with Mythic Plus in mind. I don't know. It's, there's a huge frustration over Azerite loot, right? Especially when we were originally led to believe that this would be, Mythic Plus, would be a great way to gain multiple pieces at the end of the week. Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on, whether you're, North America or EU. Once the servers reset, we thought we were going to get multiple pieces. Turns out, nope, sure not. There's still bugs in the game with Mythic Plus that are locking people out of some of their keys. Changes have been made. Yes, you guys have tweaked things. Again, they were undocumented changes, though. And we're going to get to that. But some of the changes that you have made are for the better when it comes to Mythic Plus. But there is a long road ahead. And in my mind, I don't draw as much fun and enjoyment from the Mythic Plus scene as I did in Legion. I thoroughly enjoyed doing it in Legion. Now, meh. All right, so let's shift focus a little bit now to the recent Q&A session with Ian Hazzikostas and Josh Allen, Lore, that went, like a week ago? I like the Q&A sessions. I really do. I'm honestly in disbelief that you have this multi-billion-dollar company that has problems with their stream, with their camera, whatever. I mean, supposedly, Josh is getting new equipment. This should not be an issue. Your stream should not be an issue. Your camera should not be an issue. That's amateur shit. That, if I can figure it out, come on, man. I know a lot of people laugh. They give him a hard time, and it's, this meme, it's this joke that Josh has a hard time pronouncing names, and, and it's fun, whatever. Look, I get a laugh out of it. It's cute. It's funny. It shows that he's human. This is what we need. We need a rational discussion between the designers, the developers, and the community. And it's felt for a while now, ever since I would say, I don't even want to pinpoint and say this, but, it's felt for a while now that we've been screaming, especially during beta, for BFA. We've been screaming about issues, about problems, about complaints, and the developers, the designers have, and maybe more specifically the designers, have their hands covering their ears, just not listening. Communication sucks. It's a known thing. It's sucked for a long time now. Years and years and years and years through expansion after expansion after expansion, communication has sucked. When we're told things like, we know it's an issue, we're working on it. We have to ask, are you really working on it? If expand, and you can go back through Q&A sessions, and you go back through patch notes and you know, these developer blogs and water cooler bullshit. We get it. Communication is an issue. It's always been an issue. It has always been an issue. Are you really working on it is the question, because it doesn't feel like you are. When I see a post on Reddit after every single patch detailing a huge list of undocumented changes, there's an issue. And you going, we're working on it. We don't want to overburden you. Again, it's my choice, not yours. Give me every single change. I might read through them. I might just skim over them. I might ignore it. I might look for specific things. Doesn't matter. That's my choice to make, not yours. During the Q&A session, there was excuses. Again, a lot of excuses were thrown out. You know, that they had already added this or added that or made this change or that change or updated it. And these things weren't tracked. So we couldn't document them, right? We couldn't document these changes because we made a change 6 months ago and we forgot about it or it wasn't added. Again, you're a multi-billion-dollar company that has multiple well-known, very successful projects under your belt, and you're having a problem keeping up with changes to a 15-year-old game. You don't know how to document shit. There's not there's no system in place that you have to document changes. I find that very difficult to believe. This is a major issue. They weren't tracked. We forgot about them. There was a change 6 months ago, 4 months ago, 3 months ago, and we didn't write it down. Is a huge issue. When you tell your customers, your players, your devoted fans like myself, that the team used to be small, but it's grown and the developers are no longer in the same room as other teams, or they're split up, or that sometimes things get dropped. Do you think that that's okay, Blizzard? Do you honestly think that that's legit? That's cool? Because it's not. You're still. You tell us that you're still growing, right? That the team itself is still growing, but this game has been out for 15 years. And it's funny because a very quick, and I did this when I was writing this script, a very quick Google image search pulls up a tweet from one of your developers or one of your team members that shows the entire dev team back in 2017. And yes, the dev team is huge. They are a huge team. But you've had a year now to fix any interdepartmental communication issues. So when you tell us that you've made changes that caused issues and that they just weren't thought through, do you know how amateurish and dumb that makes you look when you tell us it wasn't written down? Do you think through any of the changes that you've made? You tout over and over and over and over again that a good chunk of you guys play the game on your personal time, during work time, right? We have a lot of times, you have said this before, we have a lot of times where some of our customer service guys and our developers and this and that can log in and play the game for an hour or two. You tell us that you play the game personally, that a lot of you guys raid in guilds, that you may be in my guild. And that for a lot of you guys, that this was originally what got you your job at Blizzard. So none of you, with your wealth of both personal and professional experience in this game, all this playtime that you have, right, air quotes, that you couldn't put yourselves in a player's shoes and think of how the changes that you have made would affect the player base. When you tell your players that they shouldn't expect artifact knowledge, or they should have rather, expected artifact knowledge to stop at some point between season 1, the 8.0 raid, and 8.1, that just like Legion, you guys should have known that it was going to change. Do you understand how presumptuous, how self-righteous you sound? Is the reasoning behind the artifact knowledge change a good one? Yeah, it totally makes sense. Once you guys explained what the deal was, it makes sense. But the fact that it took some prodding, it took some asking, it took, some tweets or whatever the case might be before you guys said something, that's not cool. You talk about explaining the rationale behind changes. Yes, please do this. We need this. It's not just to understand what's going on in the game, not going on in an update, not going on in a patch or a change, but to actually have a discussion about the game with you, the company that is making it. If we don't get this rationale, if we don't know what's going on, we make shit up. We do it all the time. I do it. Fellow YouTubers do it. All of us do it. Reddit does it. The WoW forums do it. Wowhead does it. MMO Champion does it. We make shit up. This is the reason behind this change, this update, this... we make up some crazy tinfoil, hat excuses as to why you guys are doing things. We guess. We just throw shit out there and see what sticks. And we're probably wrong about a lot of it. And we know we are. But when we don't have the mindset behind it, we don't know why the decisions were made, we're left with no other choice. You talk about making changes to the game to prevent players from deleting their Mythic Plus key. But while that change makes sense, it shouldn't have been there to begin with, that ability. And honestly, you should be asking yourselves as you're making a change like this, why do the players want to skip some of these dungeons? There needs to be a discussion. You need to stop telling your players that your way, Blizzard, your way, is the right way. It's the only way. And that if we, the players, disagree on things like, personal loot, on things like the global cooldown change, that we're wrong for not liking it. That's... You got to stop doing that. The fact is that right now we're playing a game where you grind some stuff, and if you get enough of that stuff, it makes an item that you have to wear this whole fucking expansion a higher level. If that item is high enough, it makes your gear stronger. But if you haven't grinded enough of that stuff and made your item higher level, you might not be able to use some of the gear that you just got, even if it's better than the gear that you're currently wearing. You may not be able to use it. You may be forced to use old gear because you haven't grinded enough. That sounds fun. On top of that, the gear that you want to get that makes you stronger, it's not easy to get. Some of them are better than others. And you've told us, keep as much of it as you can because you want to be able to swap between pieces depending on what you're doing. The whole system right now is a mess. The fact that that players that I have so much gear in my bags to, to play the game, and you're telling me that it's okay, that we shouldn't have to use SimCraft, and that we shouldn't have to use raid bots. We shouldn't have to use all these external websites. But we have to figure out on our own with your shitty tooltips and your shitty information and your lack of communication what makes an item better, what's stronger, what's, etc. It's a mess. Then you tell us with the next big patch, right, that this the Rise of Ashzara, that it's all getting changed. That core functions that are in the game today are going to be replaced, that are going to be completely gutted, and that how we know the game now will not be the same come the next big update. What, 6 months from now? So, where's the encouragement to play? Why should I log in if I know I have to grind? And you can tell me, well, if you do a little bit every once in a while, you'll keep up. It doesn't matter. It's a grind. You know what? I could be playing PUBG and getting smoked in that game. Or I could sit here and grind Island Expeditions. Or I could go play Call of Duty and, have a lot of fun. Or I could grind World Quests. Or, I could play any of the bazillion other Steam games like I mentioned and enjoy myself. Or I could hope that if I do a Mythic Plus that I get an item that enhances my loot spec, that I don't have a choice on what it is, and that hopefully it's an Azurite piece, because that would be cool. Maybe not. How are we being encouraged to play? So look, here's the deal, Blizzard. You have it in your head that you are right all of the time. That your systems are amazing, and that we, the players and customers, we're wrong. that we don't understand your mindset, that you know better than us, that we don't see how good your systems are. And then if we disagree or don't like it, we're wrong. You aren't communicating with us, and this has been a problem. We oftentimes don't understand why you're doing the things that you're doing. We love this game, okay? Even your harshest critics, I would say and I hate to even say his name, not that I have anything against the guy, but I know he's taken a lot of flack. Your Asmongold, right? Your harshest, most brutal critics love this game. That's why we play. We wouldn't be playing the game. We wouldn't be paying you. We wouldn't be doing long-ass YouTube videos about this game if we didn't love it. You need to talk to us. See what we as customers want. I'm not saying that, you go to everybody and go, the Key and Peele skit where the Gremlins 2, where anything that's thrown out there is taken, and thrown in the end product. But see what we want. Start that discussion. Stop replacing one system after another every time we turn around. We had this really cool system in Legion where we powered up this weapon. And yeah, it wasn't perfect, but it was pretty cool. It gave us some abilities. It gave us something to work for. And then it went away. And then we got this system where, again, we grind for levels on our Heart of Azeroth. And if we have high enough levels, it unlocks some perks on some gear. But now it's going away in 8.2. Get your shit together, Blizzard. Stop making super huge changes to the core gameplay. Get your shit together. This is a game. We want to have fun. Get it together real quick. Because we want to see you succeed. And we really do. But right now, you're not. You're simply not. You're failing us. So to anyone that's stuck around for this whole video, thank you. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, whether they be good or bad. Let me know. And Merry Christmas. I'll see you.